And Eric told me, he says, I want you to get Goldberg over, and that's your job. And I said, so I can do anything I want to get him over. He goes, you're in charge of Goldberg. So that was it.
Mm.
But it was funny because when I went there to get my job, true story, we're sitting there with Eric, and it was just me and Eric in the office. And Eric says to me, he goes, Barry, what do you think you're worth? You know? And I said, are you serious? He goes, yeah, what do you think you're worth? I said, I should probably make a minimum of $1 million a year, and I should have an unbelievable contract for toys and apparel and all that stuff. And he looks at me and he goes, how in the hell can I justify that? And I said, well, what's the top guy make here? He goes, they make 2, 3, 4 million. I'm taking a cut in pay. And he goes, well, what do you mean you're going to be the top guy? And I said, all you got to do is beat Hulk Hogan in 30 seconds in the middle of the ring, beat Sting in 30 seconds, beat whoever, you make me whoever you want, and then I'm a cheaper, champion than you got your top guy for.
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. He goes, Harry, I can't do that. And I said, so you're telling me that if I beat everybody in this territory in 30 seconds, I won't be the top guy? And he sat there and thought about it, and he goes, that's a hell of an idea. I said, I know it is. I said, I can get over like that, but I said, I don't need to go through everybody.
Yeah.
I said, just give me 4 of your top guys. And I said, all I got to do for my finish is tackle a guy in the middle of the ring and beat him. And and his wheels are turning. And he goes, how about I give you $180,000 and you only work a couple of days a month? I said, I'll take that job. So next thing you know, for a month, I'm getting paid. Every week I get a paycheck. All of a sudden, there's this bald-headed guy who's a big guy. His name is Goldberg. He's tackling guys in the middle of the ring, and he's beating everybody in 30 seconds.
Wow.
That's crazy.
True story. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
He stole my gimmick.
Wow.
But he deserved it. He's the young, big guy.
Yeah.
I'm the old, beat-up guy that,
Wow.
And he made millions.
He did. Wow.
And nobody has thanked me for that either.
Still waiting.
Still waiting.
Now, how did you wind up going into WCW?
At that time, Ric Flair was the booker.
Okay.
And Arn was down there. And I was talking to Arn all the time, because I helped him get up here and, in WWF. And he was back down there. And I called Arn and I said, Arn, I need a job. Get me into WCW. And he says, well, come on down here. So me and my wife went in there, and we were in Bobby Eaton's garage drinking beer.
Huh. And
Flair said, if you come up with a gimmick, I'll hire you. And be in the office in 2 days or whatever and have a hell of a time. So we're in Bobby Eaton's garage, and I said, Arn, what the hell am I going to do? I need to think of a gimmick. I bet everybody. What do I do?
Yeah.
And we had a few beers, and he says, well, what did Flair say? He goes, well, he wants me to maybe be a truck driver or something, I said, that's just a stupid thing, And he says, no, wait a minute. He goes, you're going to be a heel, right? And I said, yeah. He goes, Arn's the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
He says, here, down a beer. We cheered and everything. He says, what's the road made out of? And I said, tar and cement. And he goes, it's blacktop. He goes, you're the Blacktop Bully. He goes, that's what you are. You're a truck driver that hates everybody. You're the biggest bully that ever happened. You hate kids. You hate grandparents. You hate them all. He says, in fact, you're going to go to jail because you're going to get in a fight with somebody in the ring, and you're going to be a fan. And that was it. And I went in and told Flair, I said, Arn came up with a hell of an idea. And then that's when I was a fan for about 6 weeks. And then Dustin I got in the fight with, and I ended up in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how it all started. And that could have went a long ways, but they didn't.
Definitely.
Eric Bischoff just kind of,
What were your
Scott Hall and...
What were your initial impressions of Bischoff?
Well, I liked Eric,
Yeah.
He's from Minnesota, and
Right.
his wife I went to school with,
Oh, okay.
But it was hard to break into the Scott Hall and the Kevin Nash and, that crowd, because I'm a Minnesota guy, and those guys hate the Minnesota group,
Right. Now, what happened, at the uncensored match with you and Dustin that you guys apparently got in a lot of trouble for?
They told us that they wanted to have the bloodiest, most unbelievable match. It's uncensored. And we did that.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, Eric called me up the next day. And we thought we had the match of a lifetime. Next day, Eric calls me up and goes, Barry, I got some good news and bad news. You had a hell of a match, but the bad news is you're fired. And he said, please don't give me trouble about it and everything. I said, Eric, if that's what you need. He says, and I promise I'll hire you back. But he said that TBS just had a big, long thing about blood on TV and all that. And, we were the scapegoats.
Yeah.
And he says, I can't believe you had blood on TV. And I said, fuck it, Eric. I said, you can't do nothing unless it comes from the top.
Yeah.
I said, if you're going to fire me and Dustin and Mike Graham, I said, why don't you fire the camera crew? Why don't you fire the truck drivers? Fire everybody on the whole scene. Because they could have stopped the truck. They could have stopped the cameras. They could have stopped everything. They all work for TBS.
Yeah.
Eric, you should be fired, I said, well, I'll leave, So that was into that.
Wow. Now, how we wind up brought back? Because you did come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came back. Terry Taylor was a booker then. And I called up Terry and I said, Terry, I'm supposed to get a job back here. When am I going to have it? He went and talked to Eric, and Eric says, come on back.
Yeah.
So that was it. So Eric was good to his word. Man. I like Eric.
That's good. Yeah. Now, when you came back, was it hard to kind of, because at this point now you were more like a bit player in the company, whereas before you were Demolition, you were always a top guy, throughout the last 10 years at that point. Was it kind of hard to go into the role as a bit player at that time?
Yeah, it was, but now all of a sudden I had a contract for $200,000, only worked a couple days a week.
It makes it a little easier, doesn't it?
Oh, it makes it a lot easier, and
so you touched briefly on Hall. When Hall and Nash came in, was it good or bad for the company? I mean, yeah, it was good because they drew all that money, but in the long run,
in WCW, yeah, it's always good. I mean, those guys are talented. I mean, look at
yeah.
Nash is 6'9" or whatever and can move and has an unbelievable promo.
Yeah.
Scott Hall is a working son of a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good thing,
Yeah. Now, did Hogan change at all in WCW, or was he still the same guy?
I didn't really talk to Hogan a whole lot down there. Because, like I say, I was there, twice a month or whatever. And, I went on the road for a while to help Goldberg go out. And,
Yeah.
But, so I wasn't around Hulk a lot then.
Yeah. Do you think, let me ask you, when Vince Russo came in to WCW, how receptive was he towards using you and that kind of thing?
I don't think I ever even met him.
You never met him?
Maybe once. I don't even know who he is, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was, the guys in the office, they weren't really around or anything. It was, it was Flair and Terry and Arn and, the boys.
Yeah.
And I never believed anything that any of those other guys that never even been in the ring even thought of anyways. The best guys in the business were the guys who were unbelievable in the ring. And Vince McMahon, he grew up in the business, a kid with his dad being around the top guys forever, every night announcing. And I mean, how could a couple of guys that never even been in the ring or the business and were writers and who are they to all of a sudden come up with gimmicks and tell you what to do in matches? And never agreed on. I mean, it was wrong.
Yeah,
that's the Hollywood stuff, and it just wasn't even right.
Why do you think that WCW wound up going out of business? All that money and going out of business.
They were going nowhere fast. There was no story. They were hot shot in the territory. They had all the best of everything, and you can only have that for so long, and then it dies.
Yeah.
Vince builds it up, and then brings it back down. And he brings it down himself. He doesn't let the people bring it down.
Yeah.
You know, that's, I think, the smart guys. They know when to bring it up and when to bring it down.
Do you think if Eric Bischoff bought WCW, like he was rumored to buy, you would have been a part of that? You would have still stuck around?
I would have stuck around if I could, but I don't
Yeah,
know
do
if
you
they
think Bischoff would have kept you around?
Probably not.
Nah.
Nah.
I don't
He
think
had
so.
too many people in his ear that didn't like the Minnesota.
Of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.